Welcome to Red Chat. I'm your host, Brandy Lynn, and today we have another Zoom session, guys. My special guest comes all the way from New York, and his name is Joey Giamonte, and he is a firefighter. So let's just kind of get started. I know it's probably super crazy. Firefighters in Los Angeles are battling like super hardcore fires right now. I know you're on the East Coast. First, let's just kind of talk about how it's been with like COVID and the craziness, and then just go into how you became a firefighter.
Right. Okay. So hi, I'm Joey. I'm from New York.
Nice to meet you.
So yeah, it's been since March. It's crazy. It's been different. When it first started, we definitely saw a big spike. Obviously, you probably saw the stories in New York. The hospitals were, crazy. EMS they went from 4,000 calls to 7,000 calls overnight. It was crazy. So it was. I work in Manhattan specifically.
Okay. Oh shit. So you're like really in the
nitty-gritty. So where I work, we're busy. We're always busy year round. And once COVID hit, we have a lot of people who, a lot of like rich people who live by me where I work.
Okay.
So they stayed for the most part during the quarantine, and then maybe towards the end of March, beginning of April, everyone left when they realized the city wasn't opening back up.
Yeah.
So we went from having a lot of calls to just everyone exiting. It was a ghost town. It was definitely a ghost town for a little bit. It was crazy for at least a couple months. But yeah, I mean, it was just weird seeing the city like that. You had a lot of EMS calls, hospitals were packed, and there was no one walking around. I mean, you've been to New York City before. Imagine New York City with just no one walking around. You couldn't even imagine that.
So wild.
Yeah, I have pictures of it. It's insane.
You'll have to send to us so we can like link it. And,
I'll send it to you. Yeah, absolutely. But everyone got closer. You can definitely feel that in New York around like April and May. Everyone definitely got closer. Which was great. It was kind of a nice, I don't want to say silver lining, but you go to, you know what I'm saying? Like with all the chaos going around. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm sure kind of like, I've even heard, like I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast, I even heard him and some guests kind of related to almost like September 11th where like a tragic thing happened, but then we'll come together.
That's like a New York thing, everyone always comes together during tragedy. But that was just my story. I mean, definitely, during Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, I mean, they never really shut off. They were going for months, COVID calls, EMS calls. They never really, they never really stopped for a long time. They were getting a lot of them a day, which was sad, but it was just kind of what was going on,
Crazy, yeah. How has it kind of been more recently, I guess, now? Things are kind of going back to normal?
Things are kind of going back to normal. Things are still closed. We still see a lot of businesses shutting down, but you still have tourism is starting to come back to New York City, which is nice. Not as much as it was. For the most part, everything's kind of like leveled off. We still get COVID calls, but it's definitely not like it was back in April, where that was like the spike of it.
Yeah.
But
do you feel like so you're born and raised in New York, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so I was born and raised in New Jersey, and now I live in California. But how is it to be a New Yorker and like go through this? Like, is it weird to see, like you said, like it was desolate for a while, but then to like know businesses are going out? Like, what is your perspective? Because I mean, New York is a lot of culture, so to have like, businesses, I mean, anywhere to have businesses go out is so tragic. But like in your perspective of always living and growing in New York, how is that for you?
That's I mean, I live in Long Island. I live in Seaford, Nassau County, so I'm only about a 45-minute train ride to the city. It's about an hour and 15 to get to the city for me. So I would go to the city, once or twice a year before I started working there. And you have the sightseeing. It's New York City. I've been to a ton of cities. There's nothing like New York City, And then, like I said, once March 16th happened, it was just everything just shut off. And, the people that you would see on the street, at least when I was at work, people that, you would see on the street were very, we would talk to, we would talk to people. They were all kind of the same thing, though. They've never seen New York like that, They've never seen the city really just completely shut down. What we were doing was, you probably saw on the news, 7 o'clock every day, we would go to the hospitals and we would have, we'd clap for the nurses, and nurses would clap for us. And it was 7 o'clock every day for almost 2 months.
Nice.
We were doing that. Yeah, I'll send you some pictures too.
Yeah, for sure.
It was definitely a great moment. You had, the neighbors and everyone coming together. There was a lot of people, socially distanced, wearing masks, but it was a lot of people. And everyone was just clapping for each other. It was kind of like, you definitely felt that in New York, like post 9/11 kind of coming togetherness, Yeah. There's a ton of videos you can find of people, doing that. It was bittersweet, It was nice seeing that, but like, why they were doing that, Everyone was scared. Everyone they weren't sure what was going to happen. Like I said, we were told, everyone was told 2 weeks. It was a 2-week quarantine.
Isn't that so
and then
wild? It's November
I don't
now.
even know. We're on day like 200 something. Like, it's crazy. Like, that we're still seeing this. We're still going through it, But New York is bouncing back. It might take a while. It's not where it was, but New York is going to bounce back.
Awesome. That's really cool. I like when like people have like a strong sense of like where they're from. I feel like I never really had that until I moved. Like, I used to be like, I can't wait to get the fuck out of New Jersey. I was like so ready. And then as soon as I moved to California, which I'm very like happy I moved. I mean, California has its own issues right now, but it reminded me like, oh wait, like I'm so proud to be a Jersey girl. Like, now I feel like that I was removed, I'm like way more like proud of where I'm from.
Right.
So that's cool that you are from New York and you still live in New York and you're super proud just to be a New Yorker. Yeah. I feel like New Yorkers just all are very super proud.
Oh, 100%. Everywhere I go, when I tell people I'm from New York, it's always the same thing, Yeah. But I guess, you're from LA, but you're in LA, you can't take the Jersey out of the Jersey girl,
That's true. Very true. And it's funny because Long Island is not that far either from New Jersey.
It's the same thing. It's all the same thing.
Yeah. And I was Northern Jersey, so like going to New York City was like, I'm like jaded about it. Like, New York City. I've been there so many times. Like,
right. Well, that's how I am. Yeah.
So it's
definitely how I am.
Yeah. So that's cool. I just wanted to start with that because that's obviously like the main thing of the world, and especially you being in the service of it. Mm-hmm. Like, thank you for your services. Like, super awesome you coming on and like sharing your stories. But yeah, let's just kind of start with how you became a firefighter.
Right. So I've always wanted to be one since I was 4 years old.
Oh, was there a reason why like you just kind of just grew up?
Well, yeah, when I was 4 years old, I'm a volunteer firefighter. I've been a volunteer firefighter for 8 years. I
think, I don't mean to cut you off, but actually just while you said that is a good point, because depending where people are watching this, if they're from the East Coast, they're very used to volunteering firefighters. Yeah. And if you're from the West Coast, there's not a lot of that because they're paid here because of it's just so much.
It's different, yeah.
So the structures, just in case anyone's wondering, like there is different structures.
Right, you guys have more county fire departments. Mm-hmm. We don't really have. I mean, upstate New York might have some, but like Long Island, we have Nassau County has 72 or 71 volunteer fire departments. Mm-hmm. Suffolk County, I want to say 100 something.
Yeah, it was the same way in.
You don't see that really anywhere else,
Yeah, I remember.
Not at those numbers.
Exactly. It's super funny because I remember where I grew up in New Jersey, there was always just so many fire stations and they all were volunteers. Right. And I never understood it. And then they would like go off to like Pennsylvania or like I think like upstate New York to get paid to do it. Mm-hmm. But then when I came to California, I was like, wait, everyone's paid. Like I didn't get it. So I just wanted to make sure like that was like kind of spoken about. Like it is.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry. So going back to when you were 4.
Yeah. So when I was 4, I actually took a tour of the Seaford Volunteer Fire Department where I volunteer now. And I have a video of it too. I found recently.
Oh, you have to send it.
And it's on like tape. It's not even on like DVD. So yeah, it's old. But that's where that's definitely where I feel like it started for me. I was 4 years old, and then when I was 19, I joined Seaford as a volunteer. Became an EMT. I was an EMT for about. I joined as a firefighter. Then I became an EMT, and I was an EMT for about 5 or 6 years. And then I joined the city, and I was a EMT for the city for 2.5 years. That was when I was 23. So I was back in 2015.
Oh shit!
15,
yeah. Dude, you've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Holy moly, that's amazing!
I know.
Oh my God, you're EMT and a firefighter. Like, okay.
So I did that for about 2.5 years while I was still volunteering, and then I became a career firefighter through the FDNY. So I was an FDNY EMT, awesome. And then I became that, and I've been a firefighter for the FDNY for maybe 2 years. So I'm still new, but
That's super awesome.
Great.
Oh my God. So that's crazy. Like, congrats. How is it let's kind of start since you're EMT first. Bring us through like the experience. How do you become it? What are your feelings about it? And then also transition that to being like, what's the process of being a firefighter? And then how did you love it, enjoy it?
Well, for New York State, if you want to be an EMT, you have to go through an EMS class, obviously. It's it was a 6-month class that I took, and it was 2 days a week, 2 nights a week. So it was like Tuesday and Wednesdays I went, and you got to pass that and obviously become an EMT basic. And all the levels depend on what you could basically do in the field. So there's like EMT, paramedic, which is the two main ones. New York State used to have CC, which is critical care, which is like an intermediate EMT, and they could do just under what a paramedic could do. So I was just EMT basic for like I said, about 5 years. I was an EMT. Then my card expired. So I started with that. Like I said, it was volunteer. I'm on I bought like a selfie stick. That's also a tripod. So I'm trying to keep
you're good. No worries.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep
mine looks a little blurry. Like I look blurry on my side, but you look super clear. And I'm like, dang, how do I get that clearness?
It's just my phone. It's a Galaxy 9.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
So I don't have a laptop. My laptop broke.
Anyway,
no, it's all right. So I was only a volunteer EMT. I was also an EMT at Jones Beach, and I was an EMT at the Paramount Theater in Huntington, where I also worked. It's a music venue. We could talk about that later.
I was gonna say, that was
Jones
fun. Beach is like a huge music festival or theater, not festival.
Yeah. So what was I saying? Sorry. I became an EMT for the city. I worked in Queens. I started when I was 23 years old, and the process for it was you have to take a test. It's not a part test. It's actually not even. It's called a test. But what you do is you basically just put all your certificate, your certs on there, and you get points based on what you're qualified in. So it was like a 1.5-year process. I think I applied in August of 2013.
Okay.
And I got hired. No, August 2014. Sorry, and I got hired in April of 2016.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was a while ago. I'm trying to remember the years now.
Oh, you're fine. You don't have to do the exact year.
So, so it's just you do that, and then you have to take like a little physical for EMT. It's not that bad. It's just like Stairmaster. The very basics, just to make sure you can do the job. Right, because EMS, you have to do a lot of heavy lifting. You have a lot of patience. You got to go up and down the stairs. So you definitely need to have some kind of strength when you're doing that.
Yeah.
So then after that, it was a 3-month academy.
Oh, okay.
I went through 5 days a week, tests, running, practical skills, and then after that, you take your state test to become an EMT. So when I started in Queens. I was in Jamaica, Queens for the most part, and it was definitely coming from just doing a volunteer, going to from that now working in a busy area. I got a lot of experience. I saw a lot of stuff and met a lot of people.
It's New York, so I'm definitely sure you saw a lot of shit.
New York, you see stuff you would never expect to see.
Yeah.
I can't tell you some stuff I saw, but there was just stuff that if it can happen, it does happen.
Yeah.
EMS, you definitely get a very wide variety of calls you respond to. Anyone who's an EMT knows that you don't get you'll get like grandma sick, and then right after that you'll get someone, I don't know, it's something crazy, you know?
Something crazy. We can use our imaginations.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that for about 2.5 years in Queens, and then December of 2018, I got into the fire academy. Now, so what I did was I took what FDNY does is for EMS is they have it was called a promotion. Now I forgot what they're called now, but you apply while you're an EMT. It's kind of like it's like a promotion, I guess. You go from EMS to fire, and the fire academy is 4 months. Normally, what you do is you would just take a test and you would apply normally, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pass a physical exam, running, Stairmaster. You have to pass, obviously, background checks and all that stuff. And then it's a 4-month academy, and it's all practical skills like, you know, basic firefighting, you know, hose handling, throwing up ladders, forcible entry, extrication calls. Like, I mean, you name it, we did it, you know. It's a lot of tests, a lot of running. It's definitely very physically demanding, but it has to be because that's the job that you're going to be doing. You have to be able to do that stuff for your job. And yeah, that's really it. And I've been doing that for about 2 years.
Awesome. What is the exact, like, what do you have to get on the Stairmaster? Like, is it like you have to reach a certain amount?
Yeah, so for EMS, it was a 30-pound, you have to wear a 30-pound weighted vest.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes. I did that like 5 years ago. And then for fire, it's a 75-pound weighted vest, and you have to do it in 5 minutes or 8 minutes, depending on your heart rate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So, I was like wondering, like, what is the actual test on the Stairmaster?
Yeah. It's for me because I work in Midtown Manhattan, so I have a lot of stairs. So I need to be able to, you know, walk up those steps like that.
And then with all your equipment and what you're wearing. Yeah. How was it when you finally like passed and you got to? Because I guess you said like you've always wanted to be a firefighter, but you started.
Oh, that was the greatest day of my life.
So,
that was the greatest.
Like, you know, it is the feelings.
Yeah, I think I've probably posted this, maybe you've seen it, but it's a picture. And it's a picture. It's not me, but it's a picture of probationary firefighters at the fire academy, and it says, you know, never forget where you were the day you got a call that you got the job. You know, it's most people who want the job, like they've wanted the job their entire life. They don't just fall into it, you know. Yeah. So it's a great feeling. You know, you struggled for 4 months in the academy. You know, there are days where you want to quit. It's just tough, you know. Like it has to be tough, but it's worth it. You know, that was the best day of my life when I graduated. That was I can't even describe it. You know.
That's awesome. I feel like I do remember seeing your photos when you like, you know, have your official little hat on and all that, and it's like that's super cool to like be in the uniform and like you did it. Like, did you feel like that's like you said you worked all your life to like be here? How did you ever go through times where you felt like you were gonna quit?
Yeah, you know, it's the hardest. What they say is the hardest part about the fire academy is waking up, because like you wake up and you're like your body's hurting. And you're like, what's today going to bring? You know, like it's going to be tough. But once you're there, and it's like, this is it. You know, I got to work. I got to put the work in. You know, I'm here for this job. You know, this is my life. This is going to be my career, you know? And I think most people get that. But yeah, I mean, for me, I went through it during the winter. So I was waking up and it was like 20 degrees outside. And I'm like, I was waking up like 3:00 in the morning. And I'm like, I can't, there are days I'm like, what am I doing? Like, you know, this is tough, but you know, once you get through it, you pass, you graduate, it's all worth it, you know? Yeah. It only gets better from there, you know?
Yeah. So when you that was a good point you brought up because you're on the East Coast. So people that don't know, it fucking snows and it's rough and the colds are brutal and brittle and like terrible. That's why I moved. Yeah. But how is it for you during the winters? Like what, like, cause I think this is just a general statement, right? Like maybe people are watching, they just think firefighters fight fires, but like during the winter, there's not many fires. Like what else are you guys doing during those times? Like obviously you're responding to like like you said earlier, like a grandma being sick or, you know,
Yeah.
whatever people think. But like, talk us through like some of the calls that you're allowed to talk about, obviously.
Yeah.
That like you go on, especially in the winter where like most people aren't used to that.
Right. Absolutely. So in the winter, you might not think we actually get a lot of like burst pipes, a lot of water emergencies, stuff like that. The winter is probably when we get the most. We usually get more fire calls in the winter, and that's because people are running space heaters, oil burners, stuff like that. Yeah, but we do. I mean, I've been to stuck elevators. I've been to gas leaks. Scaffolding, like the window cleaners. I've been to stuck scaffolding, subway emergencies, boat emergencies, people in the water, and we do everything. There's definitely less fire calls than there were, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But the amount of emergencies are still, it's very high, especially when you have a high population like New York City. People call for everything, like we'll do something small, like help get a wedding ring out of a gutter sewer. We'll do something small like that, and we'll do something like, like I said, stuck scaffolding, stuff like that, water rescues, ice rescues.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's a lot. And we also, New York City, I can't speak about every major city. I'm sure it's the same, but New York City, we also do Counter-Terrorism Training, which is a fairly it's a fairly new concept. I mean, if New York City is a very high like terrorist threat, we get a lot of threats there. So you have obviously the police, who they're really, I mean, we're all first responders. They're the first ones to get there, hopefully, if something's going down. And then the fire department, firefighters, EMS are trained as counterterrorism. So we're mostly like going in, just kind of secure, they're securing the scene. We're kind of helping people, that's our job. So yeah, I mean, you don't think, that's kind of new for the fire department. It's like new for the fire department,
Yeah, but once you started talking about all those things that you guys do, I'm like, oh shit, yeah. Oh shit, yeah. Oh yeah. Like, it's funny because I feel like now that I'm in California, I just think about fires because literally we're on fire.
Yeah.
And
so I know.
So you're right though, I forget that. Like, you're right, like pipes burst all the time when it's cold and like just serious little emergencies. But even it's cool that the firefighters can help with like the little things, like you said, getting a ring out of a gutter. Like, oh my gosh, that's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Is there things that, like, I'm sure, getting a ring out of a gutter is not scary, but I'm sure you guys do deal with like super scary situations, like life-threatening situations. How do you mentally prepare yourself to go into that every day?
Right. Well, it all comes down to our training. It comes down to we gotta train every day. We gotta drill on the stuff that you don't expect to do. Like for us, like, I mean, at least for me, I know if I get put into a situation, I could be calm if I know my training helped me. Like if I learned something. So what we do is during the day, we'll talk about, like, it's nice. It's a weird job in the aspect that you have. For me, I'm 28 years old, so I'm sitting at a table with guys who are in their 50s. We're on the same level, and they're telling me about stuff that they've seen when they were 20, 28, 29 years old. So you get that experience from the senior guys. We call them the senior guys. I'm a junior guy. And you get that experience from them. And you just talk about that. Then you'll go out to the apparatus floor. You'll take a tool off the truck, and you'll just start drilling on it. You'll talk about the guard. So you could use that in this situation. If we have this going on, you can use it here. Then we also have where we have access to books, a lot of training manuals, stuff that's written by guys who know how to use this tool properly, and you go through that all day. So when you actually have the emergency right in front of you, you can be like, oh, I know what this guy told me what to do. Like it's kind of it's almost muscle memory in a way.
Yeah.
You go through it over and over again.
That's awesome. It's awesome too that you put like a good respect to, like, there's the junior guys, but then there's senior guys, and you guys can all learn from each other. You're all on the same level. How helpful is it to have like being in work with older people that have more experience?
Well, I mean, at first it was weird. You weren't coming into it because like you have guys,
intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely. I work with guys who've, been on the fire department for over 20 years, and now I'm just this new guy walking into, with it's tradition. It's all about tradition. So, the first day I came in, I walked in with cake. You go to, it's funny, it's my first day. I'm saying hi to everyone, but I have to bring in a gift. So
Mm-hmm.
I brought in a cake, and I come into the kitchen, with my cake, and you meet everyone. And, well, so your question is, how helpful is it? It's very helpful. You really get a chance to, talk to these guys, because, the guys who have been on the job for 20 years, they were going to different emergencies that I'm going to today. They're not going to the same amount of stuff. Like today we have, we might have less fires, but we have a bigger population, so we have more like MVAs, and also the infrastructure is getting older. So you do have a lot of like stuff like that. Like, like you have stuck elevators in these buildings that are 80 stories tall, and you gotta get up there, like it's, we were in, sorry, I keep hitting this.
You're okay.
I remember we were in with something that's called a blind shaft in an elevator. So basically with elevators, you have different kinds of elevators. This one I believe it was a 70-story building.
Mm-hmm.
And they had an elevator that the elevator shaft ran from the lobby to the 70th floor. Now, when they were doing renovations, they changed that elevator to only stop at the 47th floor, but the shaft was still there. So everything else was closed from 48 to 70, and that's called a blind shaft. So the elevator, the brakes didn't work. So when it stopped, it just went up one floor. So it went to that 48th floor. So there was no way for the person to get out. So luckily we had senior guys there that day on the crew, and we were able to take an elevator up to 48, go up through the elevator that we were through, and then get into that person's elevator and pull them out. And it was something like,
crazy.
Yeah,
oh my god,
it was definitely crazy.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. I mean, it's great having those guys working. Those guys are, so they could be my dad. Like that's how old they are. But it's great having them and having their experience to really, like help you with stuff like that.
Yeah, I can imagine. How did you know to like bring a cake? Like, is it specifically a cake, or you just have to?
Yeah. It's tradition. That from day one they tell you. When you graduate, your first day you go to the fires, you bring a cake. Like that's just tradition. What kind of
cake did you bring?
I brought chocolate cannoli because that's my favorite kind of cake.
So
yeah.
That just reminded me that you're Italian and I'm Italian, and cannoli you cannot go wrong with. Cannoli and absolutely. Tiramisu. Tiramisu is everything.
Tiramisu, yeah. So, absolutely.
A little ode to the Italians, which is funny to me. It's actually pretty funny because you're from New York and you're Italian, and I'm from New Jersey and I'm Italian. Yeah. There's like no Italians in California. Like, I think it's funny how cultures are so different by like the demographics. So like, it's just, I guess, when people migrated, right? Like back in the day. So there's so many Italians on the East Coast, and like, Italian restaurants, Italian cuisine is so
everywhere,
better on the East Coast. And then you come to the West Coast and it's very like Hispanic, and Mexican food is way better here. But like, you can't find a good pizza place, but I can find a great ass fucking taco. But then you go to the East Coast and you can find the greatest pizza, but your taco is going to be shit, because it's like, everyone has their thing. So it's really cool to me, because it's like I bring my culture here and I learn about other cultures, and then it's funny when I talk to someone from the East Coast, I'm like, oh hell yeah, of course you're Italian. Like, of course.
What's the Jersey culture you bring over there?
I don't know. So actually, I guess the biggest misconception I had to debunk is that we're not Jersey Shore, and that most people on the freaking show aren't even Jersey, but
no, they're from New York, right? Staten Island, Long Island,
New York territory. So the worst thing, I guess the bone I have to pick with New York is that New York shits on Jersey. So everyone thinks everything bad is from New Jersey, when really Jersey Shore was from New York, and most of them were from like Staten Island, Long Island.
Yeah.
That's also where the accent comes from, because Jersey doesn't really have an accent. It's more like Staten Island, Long Island accent.
Yeah.
So that's my bone to pick with you guys. And also, my biggest bone to pick is that when the Super Bowl was in New Jersey, they said it was in New York. Like, so I think
that is annoying. That's annoying.
It's so annoying. So I think I bring to California my like resentment of being hated on. No, I think that just
Damn New
like
Yorkers.
I definitely bring my like I mean, I gotta take me personally, like whoever comes in contact with me, I definitely bring my
Yeah.
like talkative, talking with my hands Italianness. I definitely bring that over here. And like
Yeah.
just my interest of like Italian food. And I also tell people what Taylor ham is. No one knows what Taylor ham is.
Taylor. Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's pretty funny too. But so I guess it's like
Wow.
the little differences.
How
But
is I guess this might be a stupid question. How's like your Christmas is over there? So I couldn't
oh my
imagine
god,
like a
it's
hot Christmas.
so weird. Well, there's no
Yeah.
stupid questions first off.
Yeah.
Christmas is weird because growing up, you're used to maybe it's snowing, but you for sure know it's freezing until you just know it's Christmas because it's freaking cold. And mostly everyone decorates, and it's just like a spirit and a vibe, right? Like where we're from.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come here and you actually can almost forget that it happens because the thing about California is that it's a great place to be. Like, its weather is great and like there's a lot to do here. You can really do everything here. You can go up north where it's colder and it will snow. And then
Right.
you can go where I'm in Southern California where it's like surfing. It's like, you know, whatever activities you want to do, you can
Right.
find
Right.
it somewhere. But it's weird because you have to, it's like, well, I don't know. New Jersey's really expensive and New York's really expensive. So also California is super expensive. So you're kind of already used to it being expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because it's like you're working so much in California that like you just forget about it. So yeah, you get Christmas off and like Christmas Eve is like a half day, but it's not like cold. So I mean it does get colder at night here. Like it was finally starting to get cold. Like, okay, well, yesterday was windy and like chilly, and I'm like, oh, I can wear a hoodie.
Yeah.
But then like next week it's gonna be back in the 80s. So I'm like, oh, okay. So it's a weird vibe of like it's not cold for Christmas, so you just kind of almost forget about it. It's weird.
That's
I
so
don't know.
crazy to me because I've only experienced the New York Christmas. That's why.
Yeah.
That's like
I
so
mean,
crazy to me.
also because you're from New York, you're used to
Yeah.
like Rockefeller Center and like seeing the
Yeah.
tree and going
Mm-hmm.
ice skating. And here we don't really have that. So yeah, people decorate. I mean, I still decorate. Like I decorate for Halloween and whatever. But it's not as like grand. Like you don't have like in California,
Right.
you don't go like see the tree. It's not like a tradition. It's just
Right.
like, okay, I'll put some lights on my house and then sometimes they do have like functions like Santa Monica will put on like ice skating rink. They'll make like a makeshift one. So there's like things to do, but it's not like what we're used to.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
is
Exactly.
weird. It's definitely different. But like for instance, my boyfriend who's only grew up in California, like born and raised, for him it's normal. He's just used to that. Like, oh yeah, it's Christmas, like whatever. Like it's just like a holiday. But for us, it's like, no, like it's a holiday.
Right. That's
So it's
that's so
definitely
weird. Yeah.
different, yeah.
Do
Do you guys have
you
to sorry.
No, I'm sorry. No, I was just saying, did you come home for Christmas or
So I used to in the beginning. So I've been out here
for a while, right?
yeah, I moved out here in 2013 when I
Okay.
turned, yeah, 2013. I just drove out here and started a whole new life. And
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, it was probably the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
But I did in the beginning come back and visit, but then it gets super expensive, like the holidays and like the round trip and flights. It just got really expensive. Plus, I got like different jobs, so I was like a little bit more like I can't really come home. So I haven't really been home for Christmas in kind of like a few years.
Okay.
I think the last time I was home was last July for a wedding, and then before that it was like maybe 2 or 3 years. It's been a little while.
Okay. Okay.
I haven't been home for Christmas in a while, but I do remember the last time I was home for Christmas. It was kind of like not as cold. Like it's definitely like climate change has made it not as cold as I remember.
Right. You get those weird winters where you get it starts off warm and then in a week you get, like 20-degree weather and
Yeah.
you have that for a couple of weeks and then that's it. Like
Yeah,
last winter
weird.
I lucked out. Well, not 2 winters ago we lucked out. It was pretty warm the whole
Okay.
winter and then we had like 2 weeks where it was just like deep freeze, like really cold, like bitter cold, and then it went back to like 50, 40, so it's
Yeah.
weird. The
It's
weather's been
weird,
weird.
yeah. I feel like it's like the cold, like when people think they're cold in California, I'm like, this shit's not
This
cold.
is not
Like,
cold. That's not
don't
cold.
even front. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, I still am like, oh, I'm fucking cold here, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not cold. Like I remember the thing about the East Coast is that it's the chill that's cold. Like you feel like your hands are burning because it's so fucking cold that like
Right.
the chill in the air. That's what I always try to like the difference. Like the temperatures dropped for sure, but it's like there's that essence in the air that makes it like burning.
Yeah.
But that's actually kind of wrapping it back. Being in Christmas time in a firefighter, how is that? Because the city is even more crazy during that time.
Oh, I'm actually a couple blocks away from the tree where I
Oh
work. I work
shit!
in
Yeah,
Midtown
you're in
Manhattan. I'm a couple blocks
Manhattan.
away. Yep. We also have the churches by us, so we have a lot of tourism. It's insane. You know, there's
Yeah,
so many. I don't know how it's gonna be this year. It's probably not gonna be the
yeah,
same this year, but you know, years past, it's just been a ton of people walking around. You know, and it's beautiful. Everything's decorated.
yeah.
Every building is decorated.
So nice.
Uh, Even on Long Island. I mean, yeah, I don't know if you've been to Long Island a lot, but you know, around Christmas
Mm.
time, you have every street pole has a snowflake or a wreath or
Oh,
something. You know, it's
that's
really
nice.
nice. So I think it's like, it's not a New York thing, but
Yeah,
definitely we go all out for Christmas. You know, we have
yeah.
the tree. You know, I mean, within the volunteer fire department, I actually ran. We have a tree lighting, community tree lighting every year, and
Oh,
we've been having it since 1973.
oh
And
wow.
I ran it for 5 years. I was the boss. I was the president of whatever the tree lighting committee, and I ran it for 5 years. And
Oh,
we'd have
that's awesome.
close to 1,000 people show
Oh
up. I mean,
shit.
it was a big event.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a New York thing, but I mean, we definitely go all out when it comes to Christmas.
Yeah, that's cool. You know, someone's very passionate about what they do and they can just recall a date. Like you've just
Yeah,
recalled every date in your
yeah.
career, like or like specific statistics
I'm
about your
trying to.
career.
I'm weird.
That's pretty
I remember
cool.
years. I
Yeah.
remember certain dates and years, but then I can't remember what I did this morning. You know.
Yeah. But that's how you know
So
you're passionate about your
yeah,
job because it's like it just
yeah.
comes to you
Thank
naturally.
you.
That's super cool. Is there anything about like the fire department or even when you're EMT that are like myths that you want to debunk or just like stupid little memes that you've seen about them?
Uh, I mean, I would say that I feel like EMS is very, especially in New York City, is very underpaid. They're not as appreciated as the other services, and they work their asses off all day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, I know people on EMS who they're doing in 8 hours, they're doing like 12 runs. You know, bring people to the hospital once they go available, they're going. You know, and like you want that. You know, you want
Yeah.
a well-running EMS service, but you know, those guys are burnt. Some of those guys are burnt out. They're underpaid. They're working two other jobs on top of it. So I mean, I would say it's not really, I guess, debunking a myth, but that's, you know,
It's still
I would
something
talk
to,
about them.
yeah.
I can't think of anything. I don't know. I can't think
Yeah.
of
I
anything.
just always think that's a fun little question to
Yeah,
throw out because like,
not every not every fireman has a mustache.
oh,
I'll
there
say
you
that.
go.
Yeah, not
There you
everyone. See,
go.
some of us we can't grow nice ones. So
Yeah, there you go.
yeah,
That's a fun one. How do
yeah.
you feel? I think now also like with the state of the world right now, how like do you think that I guess honestly you can only speak for your own department, but do you feel like you guys have a really diverse department, like cultures and races, and how do you guys deal with those issues?
Yeah, I don't know the numbers off the top of my
No,
head.
not like specifically, but
Yeah,
like just because you know it's New York and it's a big issue
it's
right now.
definitely more diverse than it's ever been.
Okay.
We're probably the most diverse than we've ever been.
Oh, that's
Uh,
great.
we've been hiring a lot of women. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you numbers or percentages, but
Yeah, no
definitely
worries.
within the last like 15, 20 years, so they've definitely been pushing more to have a
Oh,
more
that's
diverse
cool.
department. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
good. It's
awesome.
good, you know?
Yeah, because then you learn from so many different perspectives, and especially if you said you guys are hiring more women, like that's
Yeah.
incredible too to
Yep.
like have the mixture of it.
Yeah.
Awesome. How is it to like so if people don't know, I mean, New York is crazy big as well. Like you have like Queens and Manhattan are like different. Like it's just
Totally different.
the whole
Totally different.
demographics, the whole everything. But since you're specifically working in Manhattan right now, how is it in a, you know, maybe like a chaotic way, but also in mentally like, oh my God, I'm in Manhattan way. I mean, granted, you're from New York, so you probably don't really feel the tourist vibe of Manhattan, but there's so much culture and like pop culture and everything in Manhattan. Like, what are your experiences like being in Manhattan?
So I mean, I said before that I would, maybe once or twice a year, before I worked in the city, I would go to Manhattan. I liked going to Manhattan. I hated getting there. Like it was just one of those things. Like whenever I heard like, all my friends wanted to go out to the city, I'm like, oh man, like, I have to get ready. It's this whole big thing. But now it's just so. I mean, I'm in the city all the time, so it's a little like I used to like when I was going to the city, I would dress nice, like a button down shirt, nice pants, nice shoes. Now I'm going after work and I'm just wearing like shorts and a t-shirt. Like it's definitely it hasn't taken away from it's like all the culture. Like I'm still a tourist. I'm still looking around, looking at the big buildings and stuff. But I'm definitely more used to it now than I was. And I'm sure you could talk to someone who actually lives in the city, and they'll tell you the same thing. Like it's just where they live.
Yeah. That's funny. I just feel like I feel like when I would go to the city, I was always like lost. Like even though I would go pretty frequently, like it's so hard to figure out like what streets I have to go on. It's like when I'm working there and like the chaos of working there, especially like obviously right now it's not as probably busy, but like before the pandemic, I'm sure like which way do I walk? How do I know which street I go to? Just
I used to feel like that too. Yeah, I used to feel like that too, and then I realized Manhattan's a grid. It's all north and south, east to west. It's actually really easy, and I just didn't even realize it. But when I worked in Queens, Queens is the total opposite. Like I drove an ambulance in Queens, so the almost 3 years I was doing it, I got to learn Queens well, but it took me a while. It was all like none of the boulevards. I mean, if you talk to someone who's actually from Queens, they'll probably tell you differently. But like to me, nothing made sense. Like there was no grids. Like the street names would change. You'd have like 120th Street, 120th Drive, 120th Avenue, 120th Road, and then 121st, whatever it is. So nothing made sense.
Yeah.
But Manhattan is just, it's all, you have East 16th, East 17th, it goes up and down. Then you have the avenues.
Yeah.
I kind of used to it. Well,
yeah. Did you learn on the job more so?
On the job. On the job, yeah. I had no idea. I used the GPS for everything. Now it's like I can just walk there,
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, kind of going back to what you just said too, what is the experience of driving the ambulance? Like, is there a stress to it? Is there like a overcome sensation of like, yes, I'm doing like this job is obviously such a good job, but like, is there that overcoming feeling of like, oh my God, I'm saving lives? Like, holy shit! Like, what is the feeling of driving an ambulance? Because I feel like I would be like, oh my God.
It definitely. It's funny you say it. When I first got on the city, I felt like that because I was driving around in Nassau County, where it's like there's less traffic, it's kind of less stressful driving the ambulance. People move out of the way more. And then I went to Queens, where you get people moving out of the way. You got a lot of people who just don't give a shit. They'll just keep. There's nowhere to go, So when I first got on, it was definitely more. I was more stressed out about driving. So I was like, I didn't know where anything was. I was using my GPS. You don't want to hear, your EMT saying that, but like it's the truth. Everyone's human. Like I was stressed out driving.
Yeah.
And then once I got into it, once I learned the streets, I learned where everything was. It definitely like the stress part kind of went away. And I just kind of like, once I got in the driver's seat, I was in like driver mode, like I knew where I was going. And you kind of also get a feel for how big, cause it's a big box on wheels, an ambulance. You kind of get a feel for like the dimensions of the truck. So you can kind of like, you feel more comfortable driving it like in traffic.
Yeah.
Like you could take that thing on the median, it's if whatever you need to do to get around traffic.
That's cool. I just think that would be such a like overcoming feeling. Like, oh my God, I'm driving the ambulance. Like, holy shit. How is it like when you're a firefighter? Do you guys have like your certain spot on the truck? Do you have like your certain role? Like this person's gonna always get the hose first. Like how do you guys divvy up like who's what role?
So for the city, for New York City, you have certain positions. You have, first of all, you have different kinds of trucks. So you have the engine, you have the ladder truck, and you have squad and rescue. Those are 4 kind of main ones. The 2 main ones are the engine and the truck. Now the engine, that's the truck with the hose. That's the one with the pump, the water. They actually get into where the fire is and you put the fire out. And the positions are the nozzle man, the backup, the doorman, and the control man. And they all have different jobs. So that once you get in, you walk in for the day, you're given your position for the day. Nozzle, you have the nozzle. You're right at the end of the hose. Backup's going to back him up, and then door and control, kind of wherever you have to move the hose, they're hooking up line. So you have that. The truck, which is what I'm assigned to, you have 4 positions also. It's can, irons, roof, and OV. And the truck is obviously they have the big ladder on it. The ladder truck. So what the different positions are is for the can man, I'm going to bring a water can and a hook, and your job is basically using the can to put out just a little bit of fire that you can. When you're doing your search, if you're not near a hose line, if the engine's not at the fire yet. The irons man, he's basically doing forcible entry on doors. The roof man goes to the roof, depending on the type of building, and OV, which is the outside ventilation, they're in charge of taking windows. They're in charge of something called VEIS, which is vent, enter, isolate, and search. So they're going to be climbing through a window on the ladder, putting up a ladder, going through the window, obviously venting the window, entering. You're going to isolate by closing the door, and you're going to do a search of that room. It could be a bedroom, it could be anything. That is just the small little summary I can make of those.
What is your specific role on that truck out of those roles?
I've done them all.
Oh, okay.
Usually when you're new, they'll put you on the can, because that position is usually you're basically right with the officer who's he's your boss for the day. So they usually, at least in New York City, they usually put you with them. Then you'll move up to the irons, and then those are the inside positions, because you're actually going to be inside the fire apartment or the house or whatever, wherever you are. Yeah. Then you have the roof and the OV, which are the outside. You're kind of more on your own. They're more independent roles. Sometimes they team up together. Sometimes they're separate. So it's a little more tactical than people might think. But then you go to other states, they do things differently. Some states they have EMS and fire together. So depending on what your call is, sometimes you're going to be rolling an ambulance. Sometimes you're going to be rolling a fire truck. So it depends on, and whoever's listening might be able to correct me on that, but it's a little different. Yeah. New York City is definitely more traditional when it comes to that, where you have your position and that's what you're staying on. Some cities, they do things a little differently.
Okay. It's cool to know a little bit of the breakdown, especially for me who has no idea about firefighting or anything that it involves. Did you have a specific role you prefer?
I like the irons. That's kind of the more preferred position, because you're doing you're more independent than you are the can man, and it's a little more fun. You have different tools, and you could, like you say, you can force a door, take a window. It's a little different. Each job is assigned for a specific reason. And when I was talking about the books before, articles that other firemen in the past have written, each tool is given to you for a very specific reason. It's not just you're going to be given this tool and this is the only way you could use it. It's no, you have that tool, and that tool has been perfected for the last 100 years. People have added to it, they've taken away from it, and it's designed like that because you have a very specific job that you have to do.
Yeah, and then I'm sure that also is the pride of the position too. This is everything right now.
It's definitely a lot of pride. You walk in, you walk into the firehouse that day, you go to the kitchen, you find out what you're gonna be riding for the day, and you go to that seat, you clean your tools, you set everything up the way you want to. You have pride in that. Everyone, for the most part, every morning they'll be cleaning their tools, making sure everything is ready for the day. It's a lot of pride, a lot of tradition. It's nice.
That's awesome. Just to kind of sum the firefighting part up, what is your favorite thing or your most impactful thing to you about being a firefighter?
I like the idea of someone calling on their worst day and they're calling me to help them. I don't want anyone to have their worst day, but usually when you're calling 911, it's usually their worst day or one of their worst days, and I like they're calling me to, I can help them. I like that. I like helping people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what really calls to me about the job.
Nice. I'm sure that's super fulfilling too, especially in times like now where it's so, you really don't know what tomorrow will bring. I'm sure just the fact that you get to help people is just super fulfilling in a really questionable world we're in.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. People are scared. They don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Some people just like to see, someone coming up to their front door and being, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Like, especially when they can't help themselves.
Yeah. And then, dude, like, I think I can speak for the world when, like, firefighters, EMTs, police, like, everyone, like, we're so grateful that, like, those people are there to help us in times of need.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So thank you for your service there.
Oh, thank you.
Just to kind of like brighten up the light, I know you also like to travel. Like you do post, you travel a lot. You were just in Utah. Yeah. So bring us through like why you love traveling, best places you've traveled, etc.
Well, so like you said before, I've always lived in New York. New York is great. I love New York. I love Long Island. I love the city. But I've seen it all. Like it's really not. I want to see the world. I like seeing different places. So, like, I went to Utah recently. What I did was, it's a trip I've been kind of planning for the last 2 years, but I really didn't start planning it until like a month or two ago. And, I just did like a little mini road trip, went through different cities, and I camped out in Utah for a couple days. It's a place called Moab, Utah, the Canyonlands. It was gorgeous. I mean, I couldn't describe the words. Yeah. I couldn't even describe like how beautiful it was. And like for me, like, I've never seen that before. I've been to different places. I've flown, but I've never driven and actually seen different parts of the country. I went on basically a week-long trip. I saw Lake Michigan. I saw the Great Plains, the Rocky Mountains. Then I went to Canyonlands, and it was amazing. I feel like everyone needs to do something like that, at least like once in their life, like a trip like that, where they can actually see the country. Because it's just, I hate just sitting around doing nothing. Like I work a lot, but I mean, I do want to travel and like see places.
Yeah, that's super awesome. I think I had the same experience. Like when I grew up in New Jersey, that's all I knew. I really didn't go anywhere. And then when I drove cross country, it was like the most eye-opening thing. I went everywhere in every state. Did you travel by what was that?
Oh, you took the I-70 to get to California?
I don't really remember exactly the route I took. I just know that I could recall every state I went to. But I just remember, like I had certain things planned. So the main reason I wanted to drive was, of course, to like get my car to California. But I really needed to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Ohio. Like I had to. I was gonna leave New Jersey. That was the number one stop. So literally, I left on a Sunday and I like went right to Ohio. Like just drove right there. Like got to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I was cool. But then like I had I had a flat tire, so it kind of veered me off after that. But I kind of tried to plan, like, what I wanted to see or do. So, like, once I left the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I got into, like, I was supposed to go to a friend's in Indiana, but then I had a flat tire, so I couldn't really do that, so it veered me off. So I just went straight through Indiana, but then I, I would stop to eat at, like, a restaurant that, like, Indiana was known for. And then I would just I would drive for probably 8-9 max hours a day because I was 18, so I didn't want to drive too late at night, just like in case I died.
Right.
And like I was by myself, so I was a young girl who had.
Oh, you did it by yourself?
I did it by myself.
Yeah,
so
at 18. Wow.
I was 18. I was like this young little ugly looking, like a little nerdy girl. My car was a piece of shit, and it was filled with everything I owned. I literally packed up everything I owned. I maybe shipped out like 2 boxes when I moved to my apartment, but I literally had everything I owned, all my possessions in my shitty broken down car, and just did it. So it was like I tried to be smart to like not be driving too late in the night just in case something happened.
Yeah.
But I would like GPS the like I tried to stay at like not the fanciest hotel in the world, but not like a freaking motel. So I would choose like a middle range hotel, and I would just GPS to that. So I don't
Yeah,
really know the exact route it took me because I was just always like had a end goal of the
that's
day.
exactly what I did. Yeah, I can just picture you driving around with your Warped Tour Rad T-shirt, driving throughout the country.
Okay, so people don't know.
Yeah.
I have known Joey for like years. We were Facebook friends and then Instagram friends, and we've just always been in contact or like mutual like friend support of like the digital times. And it's funny because we didn't live far from each other, but like we just never really like we always connected online, like we were friends and we were cool, but we never really like connected like if I was in New York, it was never the time you were there, or like our paths didn't really cross. But it's funny because we were talking off camera. We were trying to think how we like when did we first meet? It's been so many years, you kind of like your memory just forgets. But you were saying that I'm pretty sure it was at a concert, which makes sense because a lot of my friends are from concerts.
Yeah, I think you were, like I said, I think you were friends with my friend's band online. And I think somehow that one of us added each other, and we've just been friends since then. It's probably been like my friend's band was Score 24.
Yeah, because the band was called Score 24, and they played in Long Island, and I went to Long Island. It's funny. I guess we could probably find the date because we can find this concert. So the headliner was my friend's band called Patent Pending, and they were huge during this time.
You're friends with Patent Pending?
Yeah, like kind of.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely like at the time, I had a couple, like 3 friends, we'd always go see them that like got me into them, and we just would see them so frequently, like every time we traveled to, obviously all throughout New Jersey for them. Mm-hmm. I guess we were like friend groupies. We would travel to New York for them. We've even traveled to Connecticut for them and Pennsylvania. So we travel all over just to like support them.
Yeah.
And like I was pretty cool with Joe, and then I still like Joe's just so crazy and like married and has kids and they're so crazy, but I still currently talk to Rob, who's now in Bowling for Soup, which is crazy.
Is he really?
Yeah, super crazy.
I love Bowling for Soup. I didn't know that.
I know. He's still in Patent Pending, but he also is like majorly in Bowling for Soup.
Okay.
So it's a really weird like time.
We were probably at shows together, didn't know it.
That's what I'm saying. Like we definitely were at shows because I just remember being at Crazy Donkey, and which is a huge venue back in Long Island. I think it closed now though, to be honest.
It's been closed for a long time.
For a while.
Really long time, yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was Patent Pending was from Long Island, so they were like a big deal there, and it was them as the headliner, and they were recording like a video they were putting on, and so they like invited us to come to like be on the video. Yeah, because we were following them for a long time, like just supporting them. So then me and my friend Shay at the time went, and Score 24 was there, which I guess were also really big from that town. And then a couple other bands, and dude, that freaking concert was insane. And
I know, they used to put on good shows. They really did.
So insane. And I just remember, like, I was that nerdy girl with the digital camera that took pictures of all the bands. So I think what happened was I started tagging them in the photos, and then that's how we connected because we were at the same.
I was probably at that show. Because I was friends with Score 24. I knew. I don't know if you know any of those guys, but I knew Joe for a really long time. We used to take guitar lessons together.
Oh, nice.
And then his older brother Rob, I knew from him. And then the drummer Ryan, I was in 2 bands with him.
Oh,
so like, I've known him for a lot. I've known him since like middle school. So we knew each other. We used to play. And the other guys I just became friends with through high school, through mutual friends.
Oh, that's super funny because they were super big there. And I remember they used to play a lot. They used to be at like New Jersey VFWs. Like they toured a lot. Like of like
the Vibe Lounge. And have you ever been to the Vibe Lounge? Yeah. The Vibe Lounge, yeah.
Yeah.
I played there a couple times.
Super funny. So what was your band?
Oh, they were small. We didn't do anything.
No.
We have a couple of recorded songs. I don't even want to tell you because I don't want people to look them up. we were not that good.
That's so
like
fun that
me and like my best friends. So like we
cool.
like recorded some stuff. We've been playing on and off since high school.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sure that was just super fun to like just be in a band with your friends.
It was. I've been playing guitar since I was 5.
Oh,
so I've been like multiple bands throughout the years. Like, it's like small stuff. I mean, never
Anything
put on.
Crazy.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
That's cool that you play guitar. That's cool.
Yeah. We actually, I think I played a show with Score. think I did. Maybe no, not Score. It was a different band, but I think a couple of the same guys. That was a while. It was like probably 10 years ago. It was a long time ago.
I know, it's crazy because I feel like I've almost been in California for 10 years. Like, I think I've been here like 7-ish years now. So it's so wild.
It goes by fast. Like I said, I've been a volunteer fireman for 8 years. Like
it's crazy.
It's like for me that's just been so long. Like, but it feels like it just happened.
Like time just flies. So I feel like I feel like I've known you forever. Like it's so funny.
We definitely met because of that.
Yeah,
it's
for
been
sure.
A long time.
And now thinking about it, it was definitely that show, and it definitely was because Pat Penny. And
it probably was, Probably was.
There. I just remember it was so packed and crazy. Like me and my friend left like drenched in sweat, and I don't even know if it was our sweat because there was so many people there.
The Crazy Donkey wasn't even that big, but they had always a ton of people, you know?
It was so small, And I just remember it had to be that concert too because I remember the outside area is pretty big, and so a lot of like Score 24 were hanging outside, and I think we like took pictures with them. Because I had to take, during that time of my emo girl phase, I had to take pictures with like everybody. Like, oh, you're in the band, let me take a picture with you.
Didn't you do like a different color every year for Warped Tour or something like that? You did, right? That was,
Yeah. I like that you brought that up because I feel like my only claim to like fame is my Warped Tour outfit because I was like the rad girl and I would have the different color leggings on. And so people would remember me like, oh, you wore pink last year or you wore green this year. Yeah. I did that. I think I did. So the first year I went to Warped Tour, I was normal. I mean, my outfit was totally not normal. It was even more of a hot mess. And then my thotty outfit started with my sports. Because it's freaking hot at Warped Tour.
It is.
You don't really want to wear clothes.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So, we've definitely probably been at Warped Tour together, too.
Well, I've only been to the one that was at the Coliseum, Nassau Coliseum.
Okay. I would go to the Jersey ones. Yeah. But, I went 1 year, no outfit. Then I started with blue, and I had blue in my hair. I did blue. I did yellow. I did pink, red, purple, orange. Purple, green. I've done green. I've done so many. I think I went to Warped Tour. I think it was like a solid 6 or 7 or it was like maybe 8 years in a row.
Okay.
I started in 2019. No, I'm sorry. My first Warped Tour was 2009. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. I went 7 years in a row. No, I did go back in when I lived in maybe 9 years. I think I went even when I came to, when I was in California, I used to fly home during Warped Tour just to go to the New Jersey Warped Tour. Yeah. So I maybe 9 to 10 years I did it.
That's awesome. I went twice. I went in 2007 and I went in 2012. Okay. Every year, I was either working or I was in school or I just missed it.
Something happening.
Every year, yeah. Something always happened, but I loved it.
Yeah, super fun. So that's cool because that also show we should mention we do have similar music interests. Yeah. I'm super jealous because if you guys go, we'll link a photo, but if you know Bayside, you met the lead singer of Bayside. That's I did. Dope.
I actually used to one of the jobs I worked at before I was in the city, I worked in
Long Island too, right?
Yeah, they are.
Or so somewhere in New York. Yeah.
They're in they're all over the place. I think one of the guys is in California now, actually. Mm-hmm. The drummer. So I used to work for the drummer's dad.
Oh shit.
And he got me tickets. He got me tickets to them. So it was them and it was Bayside headlining and it was Men Overboard and Census Fail in New York City. It was such a good show.
That's awesome because you have the New York band and then Census Fails and Men Overboard are both.
I love Census Fail.
So good. I've met them a lot. Oh
yeah.
Buddy's super nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's cool. And he's from New Jersey, so it's funny because there's so many bands from New York and New Jersey.
Yeah, I was gonna say My Chemical Romance, I think is from New Jersey, right?
From New Jersey, yeah.
I love them too. Seen them live.
So good.
It was funny, I walked in and it was I missed Men Overboard. I was pissed about that. But I walked into I think it was Bite to Break Skin.
Oh, okay.
There was a song I walked into.
You're I'm ready to go.
Yes. I'm like 13 all over again. Like it was awesome. Yeah, it was such a good show.
A good concert. I like that we're reminiscing on concerts because who knows
Yeah.
when we'll be allowed to go to another concert.
No, I don't know. I have
But
no idea.
super crazy.
I
But oh my
worked.
God, super fun.
Yeah. So like I was saying, I worked at the Paramount Theater in Huntington for like
Mm-hmm.
3 years, and that was probably one of the coolest jobs I've ever had. So I started working there when I was, I want to say 19 or 20. I started working there. And I started off scanning tickets,
Oh, okay.
and then from there I worked in the box office. Then I worked in the box office for most of the time, but I also did ushering. I was an EMT for a little
Oh
bit.
yeah.
I worked on the street crew a couple times, and I worked in the offices for a couple
Oh,
months.
that's
So
super
I
awesome.
kind
So
of
you
like
had a little
saw a little bit.
dabble in each
Yeah.
thing.
And at that point, I was a volunteer. I didn't get into the city yet, but I was going to school for music. I was going to
Oh,
school
okay.
for music business and studio recording.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I was it's kind of like I wanted to be a fireman, but like I was trying to kind of branch out and see, other
What
stuff
else
also.
there is? Yeah.
But I loved working there. I met LL Cool J. That was the
Oh,
first guy
that's
I met.
so
I met LL
cool.
Cool J. I scanned his ticket. It's like it's
That's so
LL.
cool.
Yeah. Um, Billy Baldwin. I met
Oh,
him.
okay.
I forgot what show was that. He came in late, and I don't think we had any tickets. Or the box office was closed, and we had tickets. And he came up, and he's like, "Hey, he didn't say who he was, but he's like, oh, he knew I knew who he was. Like it's
Yeah.
Billy Baldwin, yeah."
Yeah.
So he's like, "Hey, are there any tickets left? My friend's playing tonight. He was what's his name? The guy from Bronx Tale, Chaz.
Oh,
What's his last name? Yeah, I
what
can't.
is his last name?
I don't know. People are gonna be
Mm.
so mad.
I
Two Italians, we forgot his name.
I can tell you very
But
lot of
yeah,
him.
right. But he did a one person show of Bronx Tale. It was
Oh,
amazing.
that's cool.
He played all the
Yeah.
characters. He had a couple props, and Billy Baldwin came in, and he's like, "Hey, my friend's playing here tonight. Are there any tickets left?" Like, I'm like, "Oh, we're just closed. But if you go, talk to the VIP manager. I can get her out here. Maybe, she could help you out." He's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I was at my brother Alex's daughter's communion or but a baptism." I'm like, "Oh God, this is so
That's
cool,
cool.
so
Yeah.
cool." You mentioned Alec Baldwin, because I live in the town right next to where they grew up. They grew up in
Oh, that's
Massapequa, and I
cool.
live in Seaford.
Oh, nice.
So I met the Fray, and I met Trace Adkins
Oh,
while I
nice.
worked there. And then I
That's
met
cool.
yeah, so I met the lead singer Bayside. He was playing a show there. This was years after I left. This
This
is
is
recent.
yeah.
And then I met him at a bar right down the
Oh,
street.
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome. I love it. That's so
yeah,
fun.
I loved it.
Oh,
I mean, like I would work until like 9 o'clock when the box office closed. I'd work 12 to 9, and then after the show was over, just go upstairs and watch the show. I've
yeah.
seen so many bands. I've been backstage. I've been on stage with Dropkick Murphys twice.
Oh,
I
shit.
met Ken, the bassist. I went up to him during the show and I was like, "Hey, I work here. Like, can me and my friends here? Can we take a picture with you?" And he's like, "Oh, you work here?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey, you guys want to come backstage?" And I knew I
Oh
was allowed
my God.
backstage, but I'm like, "Yeah, well, And they're like, "No, are you working right now?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "All right, after the show, just we're backstage. Just bring your friends back there." So
Oh
I
my
told my
God,
boss, I'm
that's
like,
so
"Hey, Ken
dope.
Burt, Ken invited us backstage. Like, can't disappoint him. So it was awesome. Though. The Dropkick
Oh
Murphys
my
are,
God,
yeah.
that's
Actually, you can't see it,
awesome.
but I have a signed Dropkick Murphys poster
Oh,
on my wall.
really?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. I actually
That's
have a ton of
cool.
signed posters. I'm a huge music nerd.
Yeah, me
I
too,
have
of
yeah,
course,
I
obviously.
have a signed brand new poster, The
Oh, dope.
Used,
Oh, the used.
and
I
yeah,
have.
yeah,
Wait, wrong arm.
yeah. You
This
have the
arm.
tattoo. You have the tattoo.
That's that.
Yeah.
This is actually. Wait, how do I do this? This is actually Bert's signature.
I saw. Yeah, he signed
Yeah,
your. That's
he
awesome.
signed it. That's cool.
And then
Yeah,
the band Polar Bear Club.
I've heard of them. I never really got into
You
them.
you should listen to them. They're really good.
They're good.
They're a
Okay.
really good New York band. They're from upstate somewhere.
Okay. I'll
I'm
have to
not
check
gonna
it
say
out.
that. Yeah, but they're really good. I have a signed poster from them.
Oh, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love, see, we could just have a whole episode on music and going back and forth because I could talk about
Yep.
music all day.
Oh, all day. Yeah.
But super fun. Oh my God, how exciting you met all those people
Yeah.
too. Just kind of like a last parting words. That's like a great way. I mean, I feel like I'm just loving talking about music. But is there any like advice you would give anybody watching, or is there any other places you are looking forward to traveling to? Just some last parting words to give a little get to know Joey.
So like I said, I just did the road trip. I definitely want to do it again. Go to another, maybe not Utah, go to another state and camp
Any
out for a couple
specific
days.
states you have in mind that you want to go to?
I want to go back to Colorado.
Okay.
Colorado was gorgeous. There was a place, Dream Lake National Park.
Okay.
I think it's like 2 hours north of Denver. I want to stop there and maybe do some camping there.
Okay.
The pictures I saw were beautiful. And I would just do the same thing. I would just drive out there, stop along the way, see some places, and then spend a couple of days there and come back.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then any last parting words or advice for anyone maybe watching that are interested in either like pursuing firefighting, EMT, or even music?
If you want to pursue firefighting, they say it's the best job in the world, and honestly, I really feel it. Depending on where you want to go, study, run, push-ups, get yourself in shape. But just love the job. Once you get on it, just love it. It's the best job in the world, and if you treat it right, it'll treat you right. So
awesome. Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Super appreciate it. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I mean, I wish we could be physically doing the rad chat because I rather, everything's better in person. Yeah. But I super appreciate you coming on Zoom during this crazy time. And we'll have to have you back on to talk about music or whichever. Yeah.
Maybe I'll fly out there next time.
Yeah, that would be dope. Hey, you come to California, then your next road trip. Oh, you were basically almost here.
I was a couple hours away. Not too bad.
You were not far. So thank you so much, and bye, guys.
Bye.